Well, I'm really happy with my mobile chicken tractor and raised bed setup. I've been thinking about this for a long time and I finally got around to doing it, but to be honest, my hand was sort of forced. As you can see, we've only got 2 hens left out of our flock. Yes, we only had about 8, but that means that 6 of them were tragically eaten or dispatched by a very large goanna. G'day, I'm Mark from Self-Sufficient Me and I want to take you through this mobile setup. But before I do that, I want to take you down to our main chicken free ranging area and show you, well, the crime scene and explain what happened to the rest of the flock. Let's get into it. So the story about the goanna, there was one large fella that was the biggest goanna that I had ever seen here before in the last 18 years. I was quite shocked at the size. It would have been almost as long as me. So I'm 6'1", and I would say the goanna was at least nearly 6 foot, but it was nice and fat. And I could tell that it was having a diet that was more than just nicking a few of our eggs. Put it that way. This paddock, well, it's shut off. It's got an electric fence around it, so it's essentially predator proof from the ground. Well, that's what I thought. I never heard any commotion or anything like that. I just came down to check on the hens like I do every day. I'd let them out and they were happily free ranging. I didn't think about much. I just noticed instinctively when I came down it was really quiet. There was no hens around, and usually they'll come and greet me and say hello. So that was the first warning sign. Sometimes if there's a hawk or an eagle around, the hens will hide underneath a log or underneath trees or bushes, or they'll go back into the coop. So I went looking for them, and that's when I found the first one gone. And then I found another one up near a fallen tree, again gone. But the odd thing about it was that I was puzzled by how they died. Usually you can tell if it's a fox attack or if it isn't a hawk attack, because those two are quite similar. There's feathers everywhere, and usually you will see talon marks around the chest of the hen, and you can see that the damage to the bird is obviously done by a hawk or an eagle. Often the foxes will chew the head off, and that'll be on the ground next to the body of the hen. I hope I'm not getting too gruesome here, but I'm just telling you the facts of it. The 2 smaller brown hens that we had, they were completely gone. I could not find them. These were only small Lohmann browns. They were great layers, very clever birds, but tiny, almost bantam sized. The rest of the birds I found either gone or in the pen up on the perches. There were 4 left. As you could understand, I was pretty annoyed and saddened. You become quite attached to your hens. We just keep hens for laying, and they last years and years, up to 7 or 8 years, sometimes more. They might eventually stop laying, but we still keep them because they're great at making compost and they're good companions, and I just love seeing them enjoying themselves, free ranging and enjoying life. So I looked far and wide for those brown hens. I suppose I assumed that it must have been some type of fox or something that's taken them, but I still was confused. I had a hunch that it was something else, maybe a cat, I was thinking. Anyway, I locked the hens up, the 4 that were left. The next day I came back down to find one of the white ones had passed away. And when I looked over the white one, I found that there were some scratch marks, but in hindsight it was probably more like teeth marks going across the back and the neck of the bird. And as we know, the lizards have a bacteria or a sort of latent poison in the saliva, and that eventually kills its prey over time, usually a few hours, sometimes overnight, depending on how bad the bite is. So their bite is a killer anyway. And in hindsight, that's how I know what happened to that one. The grey speckled one ended up dying a few days later as well. I couldn't see any marks on her, but maybe she was bitten somewhere or scratched, or she just died of fright eventually. And that's how I ended up with just the 2 left. Anyway, on that second day, when I came down and buried the white hen, over at this gum tree here, I saw one of the largest goannas that I've ever seen in my life. Not just here, but anywhere in Australia. And I've been out the bush many times and saw lots of goannas. So big that usually goannas don't worry me much. But this one here, I felt like I needed to keep my distance, because you don't want to be bitten by one of those fellas, and they can attack and run at you. Sometimes they might get scared and confused and mistake you for a tree and climb up you, and you don't want that with those claws. So that's when I started thinking, what are you doing here? Why are you so big? I've just lost hens. Why are you hanging around this area? And then I started wondering, would a goanna attack chickens? Like, these are bush and tree goannas. I know we have a parenti, which is one of the largest goannas in the world, but the parenti lives in desert-like situations. And I know they can run like crazy, and they chase down rabbits and all sorts of mammals, and they eat snakes. I mean, I'm not blaming the lizards, I'm blaming myself for not realising that there was this type of danger, but I do now. Anyway, so what I did was I ended up getting onto Google, and sure enough, there were plenty of people in forums and online letting other people know that this is a thing. Be careful, your hens might get run down and attacked by goannas. And then I realised that for sure, those 2 brown hens, they would have been swallowed whole. And now that I know that, well, now I'm gonna take action to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Well, it's good to see the girls having a dust bath and enjoying themselves here in this raised garden bed. And that's the purpose for this mobile coop. It's not because of the goanna or anything like that. It is just something that I've always wanted to do, have this mini mobile coop to be able to link it up to raised garden beds and have a safe place for the hens through the day. They'd be locked up at night to play and dust bath and stir up the bed and turn it into a great place to plant your veggies. What this is going to be is a chicken caravan holiday unit. So I'm going to have the main flock, of course, still down in the free ranging area, new coop closer to that front gate. We might get about 15 birds, I think, because we just love eggs and we can't get enough of them. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the price of eggs is a real thing now. It's ridiculous. And not just the price, how do you get them? We have been suffering because these 2 haven't been laying. We don't have as many chickens anymore. We're used to having as many eggs as we like, but since we lost our flock, we've had to buy our eggs, and there's been an egg shortage. Great luck. So not only have they been expensive, but sometimes you just can't get eggs. So we want to get our flock going as soon as possible, and then have the main flock down there, and occasionally we'll swap them around. 4 hens, I think, at a time. That'll be enough. And they will be hosted in the chicken mobile caravan, and they will always have a raised garden bed to play in and dig up and refurbish for me to save me digging. If you're wondering about the protection, this is just some bird netting. They get locked up at night, so no foxes or dogs are going to get them. This is our main veggie garden, so it's close to the house. You don't see any predators, not even lizards, up in our veggie garden. So they're very safe through the day, and we can always keep an eye on them. I'm pretty happy with this standard build. It's very easy. It's just using irrigation over some posts that I've just pushed into the ground, and with some standard bird netting, very cheap, easy to put up and pull down. And also when it comes to goannas, you don't see them through winter. Only really in the dead of summer do they come out and actively start, well, harassing hens and trying to get our eggs. If you're wondering about this unit itself, I'm really happy with it. It suits my purpose. It's not very big. You can easily wheel it around like a wheelbarrow. And it's made by Clucky, which is a European brand. And this is the first time they're in Australia. Check this out. Both of the sides can be lifted up like this. You've got drinking containers on the inside. You can put the drinkers on the outside. In fact, the instructions tell you to put them down near one of the legs. But I've preferred to have the drinking cups inside internally, and I've got some food for them at the back there as well, so that when they are locked up they can get a drink and they can eat. And like I said, Clucky has only just come to Australia, and how they got here was through Ozfarmer. Ozfarmer done a deal with them. Ozfarmer, if you don't know, they sell farming equipment. They sell lots of preservation gear. Like the last decade and a half, I've been getting my fermenting crocks and my fermenting jars and my cooking jars and my canning equipment. I've been getting all that from Ozfarmer. Now, I've purchased this myself. I bought it with my own money, but I am affiliated with Ozfarmer now because Luke, one of the owners, he called me up and he said, look, I've been following your self-sufficiency channel for a long time and I'd love to work with you, and would you like to purchase some of our products? And I said, well, mate, I've been purchasing your products for a long time, so yeah, why not? I love it. If you want, you go and check out Ozfarmer. You'll find that they have heaps of things that you can buy. And this here, I've got to trial it more. It was a lot of hard work to put together. Being European, there were a few funny things in the instructions that maybe got lost in translation, but it wasn't that hard. I worked it out eventually. This can take up to 9 hens, and for someone just starting out, this is a perfect solution, I reckon, and a fairly cheap solution to get into chicken keeping. Plus it just comes with everything you need to be able to keep hens, and it's so compact, you could put it in any suburban backyard, not a problem at all. And for 4 hens, say 4 or 5, it's plenty big enough, and then you can let them free range in your backyard, or you could use it like we're using it and set up your own little free ranging raised garden bed type of setup. So if you are interested in purchasing anything from Ozfarmer, they have an end of year sale, like most companies do at the moment. The end of year financial sale, that ends at the 30th of June, so there's plenty of discounts on offer. If you use my link and my code, which I will put down the bottom, you can also get 10% off. That's a pretty cracking deal, I reckon. So if you are interested in any of their items, go ahead and use that affiliate link and code and get yourself a good discount anyway. You might as well if you're going to buy something. So anyway, if you're near bushland or there's some lizards and goannas in your area, just be aware they may not be after the eggs only. They will go for your hens. It's something I wish I knew, but I learn something new all the time in backyard self-sufficiency. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big goanna, you can't get my hens anymore thumbs up. Share the video around and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye for now. Cheers.